What's up, man?
How's it going?
Good. So both of those songs sounded ridiculous. So does the album, and congrats, man.
Thanks, man. I'm glad you like it.
No, it's really awesome. And so listen, I mean, all these songs are going to be new for me and anyone listening to them, but you've been living with them, I take it, a very long time?
Yeah, for about, since the first song that I wrote for this record to it actually coming out was a 5-year period.
Wow.
So I've been living with them. And it's great because they evolve and change and grow and new songs come and just kind of get added to the family, you know?
All the songs, I'm assuming different songwriting process each time out, or do you have like a process?
I don't have a process per se. I find that it's easier for me to get into a creative space actually when I'm not trying to be in a creative space. Like if I'm driving or riding my bike or something like that, that's often a song will come in it when I'm just sort of out in the world doing something, and the melody and the words will just be there, and then I have to remember it and go home and figure it out, what the chords are, and flesh it out. That's sort of my process, but it's not something I can force, you know? Right. It's just like, oh.
It's got to come to you. You can't just basically be like, I'm going to sit down and write today.
Yeah, I mean, occasionally that'll happen too, you know? But I find it's a lot more difficult and strenuous to try to like force something out, and rather than just have it kind of, like, here it comes.
I mean, the funny thing is, like, you know, I guess most journalists or bloggers are just listening to new artists trying to figure out who they could say they sound like, which is nice because I was actually found myself trying to do that with you and I couldn't.
Huh.
So congrats on that, and
thanks.
Poo-poo on me for even thinking in that direction. But like I heard Shannon Hoon somewhere, and then I heard something else. I'm like, you know, fuck it, he's just SWF, and we'll leave it at that.
Huh. That's cool.
But did you talk to me about your background a little bit? Like,
sure.
Because your voice is very, you know, distinct, and I mean, is that something you developed? Or you just always, you were singing kid is basically, I guess, what I'm asking.
Sure. Yeah, I was singing from when I was really young and playing music from when I was really young. I think that listening to Will Oldham, Bonnie Prince Billy, kind of, or his earlier stuff, Palace, it sort of opened my ears up to like being able to sing in a more free way, because he has this sort of, especially the early stuff, his voice is all over the place and cracking, and I was like, oh, that's actually really cool. When I first heard it, I remember the first song I heard, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? And then as I listened to it more and more, I was like, oh, this is awesome. So I think that kind of freed me up a little bit from feeling like I had to have some perfect voice and could just have my voice. And then I don't know, like in terms of influences, like what influenced me?
I guess, sure.
Yeah, like all the early like late 60s rock and roll, like Neil Young, a lot of folk rock stuff, like I guess all the folk rock stuff, so like Neil Young and individuals, you know, people who kind of just went their own route on things. So like Will Oldham is an example of that, Neil Young is an example of that. I don't know. I listened to a lot of indie rock growing up too, like Flaming Lips and Pavement, and sort of psych indie rock, Sonic Youth. Yeah,
I feel like it's not a strong feel, but there's definitely like a subtle hints of 90s, like alt rock going
sure.
throughout it. So.
For sure. I mean, and that's just what I grew up listening to.
Right.
You know, I grew up listening to Nirvana and the alt rock, Flaming Lips, Pavement, sort of that Yo La Tengo, even like all these sort of artists who are doing a sort of noisy 90s thing.
I know you're from Boston. Is that a Red Sox playoff beard or no? Something totally unrelated? You've had that beard.
I've had the beard. The beard comes in and out, I think. So, you know, it's something that, it's a playoff, it's like a personal playoff beard, I think.
Okay, I like that.
You know?
So I know that you're doing CMJ, and the album, probably by the time this posts, it'll be out already.
The album is Tuesday, October 8th.
Okay, cool.
Let It Be Told. It's my first album. I'm really proud of it. I'm happy to be putting it out into the world.
And you're obviously, in addition to CMJ, I'm sure you'll be doing some kind of tour.
For sure.
Did you get the same, I don't want to say excitement. Usually from the studio to the live performances, there's a discrepancy. Did you feel any of that in the studio? Or was it freeing, or did it feel kind of like, you know, you were put in a box a little bit?
It's a totally different experience, because in the studio, for this record, I basically played everything. So I could make it sound exactly the way I wanted it to sound, because I was playing every instrument, so it was all within my style and vocabulary. And then when you're playing live, it's just a different experience, because you're playing with other people and interacting with them. And what actually it's required for me is to step up and be a really strong leader, you know, be a really strong band leader, and with the people who I play with, who I love, they're great musicians, and I feel really fortunate to play with, but I have to, you know, hold that leadership position and be like, okay, this is how we're playing this song, this is where it starts, this is where it ends, this is when the solo happens, I'm going to sing, actually don't play like that, play a little more like this. So there's that element of it, and then once that's all into place, then we can just enjoy the experience of playing together, playing for people, having the energy. It's like creating, almost like as a performer, you're putting your energy out, right, into a space. And then if that energy is then fed back to you from an audience, we're just like looping energy, you know, and everybody can walk away elevated.
There's very little energy in this room because the heat's on and the sun's just beaming in our eyes. But I get the feeling that it doesn't really matter where you're playing, right? You just kind of go into a different place. It doesn't matter if there's 6 people in the crowd or 600 or 6,000, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten to the place now where I'm really confident and strong about what I'm offering musically, and feel like this is what I got to give, so like don't hold back from giving it, you know?
Good.
That's where I'm at.
Well, lucky us. Thanks, dude. Good luck.
Yeah, my pleasure.